This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. Folks, here we are, April 13th, 2021. And you know what? Zoom has been a great way for me to counter the fact that the station's closed due to COVID, even though we're in the yellow phase right now. Go figure. But this has been a wonderful way to counter all that. And boy, I love just booking things and not have to go any further than my apartment. Folks, I have a wonderful guest on the phone. I'm so used to saying that. On Zoom with me today. She's a three-time guest. She's fought killer chickens. She's dealt with James Balsamo, which is probably about the same as dealing with killer chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And she associates with Lloyd Kaufman. She's I'm building her up good. And she's got her espresso today. Folks, I give you the scream queen herself, Genoveva Rossi, on for her third time. How do you do, Genoveva?
Hey, thank you so much for having me on again. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, James Balsamo was a lot like a killer chicken.
Yeah?
Just furrier though, like a furry killer chicken. But yeah. All these great people I've been associated with. It was a pleasure working with James on all the movies I've been with him. And then Lloyd Kaufman and I, a lot of people don't realize it, but we've acted together in I think over 10 movies. And then I had the honor of finally being in a trauma movie. I have a cameo in Shakespeare's Shitstorm that we filmed a while back. So that was fun. That was a unique experience being on set with Lloyd, where he was actually the director. So
I gotta get him on the show here.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. He's a wild man. He was running around in drag. He was in his underwear getting hosed down by a fire hose at one point. He's a wild man on the set of Shakespeare's Shitstorm. He really, Lloyd is somebody that really lives his life with great passion. We can learn a lot from Lloyd, Yeah.
I wish I had his aspirations yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah. Obviously he's an older guy, and he's been around for a long time, but it's like he's just such, a fun and passionate person. And he just like has this perpetual energy and passion and love for what he's doing. It's awesome.
Well, I haven't had him on here yet, but I have had Mark Torgel on here, aka the Toxic Avenger.
Oh yeah, and I got to work with Mark on a movie I'd love to plug called Toxic Tutu that we were involved in. Lloyd's in it too. It's a mockumentary of the Toxic Avenger, and I pop up for a cameo in that. Our good friend Joe Nardelli, who has since passed on, was the director and writer of that film. Joe is such a sweet guy. Mark and I miss him so much, and he kind of lives on through Toxic Tutu, which is available, I think on a whole bunch of different streaming platforms. And it's really cool. It kind of pays homage to the Toxic Avenger, which is one of the, a classic trauma film. So it was fun being in that and working with Mark. Mark's a really great guy.
Yeah, I do know that Jake the Snake Roberts is in that.
Oh yeah, I think I'm in a couple movies with Jake the Snake Roberts, a James Balsamo film, and also that film. And and that's great, because I do like wrestling an awful lot. Current wrestling, old wrestling, I do kind of follow it. I love the characters. It's theater. I love it. I love the acting. I love the drama of it.
Awesome. Yeah. Did you watch WrestleMania 37 the other night?
No, I didn't. A lot of times I just kind of watch clips and stuff on YouTube of things. I like to follow wrestling, and I also follow boxing a little bit. I just saw a while back, when they did the Mike Tyson Jones fight. I was watching that.
Yeah.
Tyson's comeback fight in his 50s. He did a good job.
I got a bunch of those LGN rubber wrestling figures. I found a bunch of them at Comic-Con when I was there in 2019 in Toronto. Yeah. So I like those, but I don't like wrestling now the way it was. I think back in the 70s and the 80s, I think wrestling was at its best.
Well, that's why we even see a lot of the wrestling from the 80s is still being shown reruns and still has such a huge following. Like a lot of young people, although they maybe weren't alive when Andre the Giant, for instance, wrestled, are familiar with him because his legacy like lives on. A lot of the wrestlers from that. I was actually a guest a couple years ago at a MesaCon with Nikolai Volkov, which is no longer with us. But I remember, you know what I said to him when we were in the break room, because we're all, you know, doing crafty and eating our food in the green room. And I said to Nikolai, I said, you know, when you wrestled for the WWE, which was in the WWF, I'm like, that was the best era of wrestling, honestly. You know, that was a great time. And he was like, thank you. He seemed like a really nice guy. And it was an honor. Here I am, at a convention with Nikolai Volkov. And I think I was there with some of the characters from Pee-wee's Playhouse and a whole bunch of other really amazing things. So it's like really inspiring and humbling for me to sometimes be a guest at all these conventions with all these people that I grew up knowing about or that my parents were huge fans of. You know, it's like, wow, you know, I didn't necessarily think that I would arrive at that, you know, in my life. So it's awesome. And I'm thankful.
I thought Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik were a great tag team. They won, of course, the tag team titles at WrestleMania 1 against Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham. But they were also my favorite WrestleMania 3. And I'm going to tell you, they pretty much dominated the Killer Bees. You know, the Iron Sheik had that camel clutch locked on jumping Jim Bronzell. Had not been for Hacksaw Jim Duggan coming in there and caused the Bees the match by disqualification, but
oh wow,
2x4.
You know more about it than I do. A couple of years ago, I got to meet Honky Tonk Man. He was wrestling in the New Jersey area, and I went out to meet him and stuff. He's still around, still doing this thing. If everybody remembers, Honky Tonk Man was Elvis.
I remember the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah, it's all about having a cool look when you're a wrestler. It really is. You know, it's a little added bonus, I guess, if you have like a character that you play. That's something kind of different. Like you said, like the Iron Sheik, like Nikolai Volkov, like Honky Tonk Man, you know, like the Ultimate Warriors, you know, certain people like that. But and then speaking of wrestling, I'm actually in one movie with a wrestler, Gene Snitsky, in 1,000 Acres of Hell.
And he plays Sloppy Joe.
And I have like a small cameo in that, but that was a pretty cool movie. I think Samu is in that as well. So we have a couple wrestlers. Sometimes wrestlers do end up in the horror genre, because I think a lot of times, you know, wrestling is very theatrical and you really only have one take to get it right. And a lot of times they're delving into a lot of extreme stunts. So I think wrestlers a lot of times do make really good actors.
I like Sabu. I got to say that guy, he did a barbed wire match against Terry Funk, and I'm going to tell you, that was brutal. They had to take shears or cutters and cut them out of the barbed wire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So let's get back to me and my career and stuff like that. So
well, I thought you were wrestling.
No, I should though. I should.
You didn't wrestle. You didn't wrestle the Honky Tonk Man, the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
I should wrestle. You know, people have asked me to wrestle and things like that, and I've had some opportunities to wrestle, but it's really a huge commitment of training and time. And then I have so many other things going on. Like I have my acting, my directing, my writing. I also am a professional tarot card reader. I also do, you know, a whole bunch of other things. I'm a personal trainer. So I don't always have enough time probably to dedicate to wrestling because it's such an involved discipline. But I do really respect and I do think it's really cool.
So how are things with you with the pandemic? We're in the yellow phase right here, right now. I guess you get your different phases. You have your lockdown, then we have the red phase and orange phase, and then yellow phase and green phase. We're trying to get the green phase. We could be home free, but so we're in the yellow phase. How are things where you are?
That's a good question. I don't think things are as organized here as they are by you, because I don't, to my knowledge, I don't know if we have these coded phases as much. In New Jersey and New York, it appears as though our numbers are going up, but yet they're opening and things are going to 50% capacity.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not sure why that is happening. Maybe that's because of finances, or maybe they feel like because we're vaccinating at such an accelerated rate that they can maybe reopen more. Maybe that's it.
well, I've been going back to the movie theater since
Mhm.
last July.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but yeah, I can't get into the station. So
I
I
was
know.
just at the movies actually last week to see King Kong versus Godzilla, but there were
I
like 10 people in the whole movie theater. It was pretty quiet.
I didn't see that one. I did see French Exit though with Michelle Pfeiffer. I went and saw that.
Oh, interesting. No, I
Hmm.
didn't see that. But yeah, so we're vaccinating at a very high rate. Like I'm even, at this point fully vaccinated. With Pfizer, I did 2 shots already. So maybe that's why America, like where I am, is kind of opening up a little bit more, is because they seem to be vaccinating at a very accelerated rate. I don't know.
How do
I
you
guess
feel about it? How did it make you feel doing the vaccination? Because I hear various things.
Well, the first shot, I felt nauseous and I had a really bad migraine headache in my forehead for about 20 hours. And then the second shot, I felt fine, just like maybe like a little thirstier than normal, maybe a little more tired than normal, but not really anything that noticeable. And that was it. So not too bad, but everybody has a different reaction. It's very unique to the person.
Well, there's different vaccines. How do you know which one to take?
You don't have a choice. That's how
Okay.
you know.
Oh,
It's not like you have a menu and you pick which vaccine you want. It's like you get cold and then that's the vaccine that's available, and either you want it or you don't.
okay. So you're fine right now, huh?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So if you get put in a movie with uh James Balsamo's little snot character, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Because snot could have, be contagious. Little snot guy. Yeah. What's his name? Little snot guy. I think I have a little rubber toy of him somewhere. Oh my God, I do. Hold on one sec. Let me grab him.
OJ.
Yeah, James gave me my own little snot guy. See, there he is. Oh, love me.
He kind
Yeah,
of looks
James
like
gave me him.
James.
Yeah, it looks kind of like James if he was like a little green snot. There he is. Isn't that cute? Yeah, James is really good at his marketing and merchandise. I have a couple little James, toys and things. I have T-shirts. I have like little dolls and little toys that he makes and stuff. So he really knows how to market himself in his movies. He's a fun guy.
He's approached me to have me back in another film.
Awesome.
Financially, I'm not in a place where I can get involved right now, especially after yesterday's wonderful hit.
Oh, that's understandable. Yeah, cars are
Yeah,
expensive. Oof.
yeah. So yeah, not fun, but I am cameoed as of right now 9 James Balsamo films.
Wonderful. So you're going to become a horror star in your own right. There you go. I'll be
He's
interviewing you too.
Yeah. Well, I'll take that. Um,
Yeah.
they
Mhm.
got us both in Cool as Hell too. That was
Mhm.
the first one that I was part of. I'm in It Wants Blood twice, being watched on a television by Eric Roberts, which I'm pretty cool with.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love Eric Roberts. That's great. Awesome.
Yeah. And I'm in Catch of the Day 2 that has Jake the Snake Roberts in it. You're in it, although you didn't know you were in it. I think he used other footage cut from the first film of you.
I think he did. James sometimes does that where I end up in movies that I didn't know I was in because he uses the footage again. Yeah, he does that. Well, because sometimes he shoots a lot of things and they don't get used, so then he uses them again. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I've seen rough cuts of those three.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm in Hollywood Werewolf. I'm in
Hollywood Werewolf. That sounds good. Who's the werewolf in that?
probably James. He plays a character named Elliot Wolf. So
Yeah, he must, because James looks like a werewolf. He's a fuzzy guy. I can see that. Yeah.
yeah, he kind of looks like a werewolf. I'm in Killer Waves 2.
Awesome.
I'm in something that hasn't even started yet, but I got involved because of the title, Nightmare Party Twerk of Terror.
Awesome. That's an interesting title. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, I'm in I Spill Your Guts 2. I'm in Balsamo Beach. And the last one I took part in was Bite Schools 2.
Wow. So you are like you're like all over this. You're like his Johnny Depp to his Tim Burton at this point,
Well, I find it funny that he's got two people from here in New Brunswick in his films. Like most people don't even know where I'm located. Like I'm an hour ahead of you.
Oh yeah.
It's like most people don't realize there's a stretch up above New York. It's here in Atlantic Canada, and I got this message one day after responding to a post on one of James's films. Is Sean Doucette. And he goes, "What part of New Brunswick are you?" He says, "I'm from Moncton." And I'm like, "I'm from Fredericton. Are you mean to tell me that there's two of us from New Brunswick in James Balsamo movie? That's a bit odd."
James loves his Canadians, I guess.
I guess.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you guys got in there, though. Awesome.
So that's how I got connected with Sean Doucette. And it's like, that's our own little thing. There's two of us from New Brunswick in these Balsamo movies. But hi, Kitty. Awesome. You gonna come over here, Kitty?
Oh, you have a kitty. Yes. That's nice. The nice thing about Zooming at home is that Kitty gets to participate now in your interviews, whereas before Kitty didn't.
Oh, here he comes. Say hello to Genoveva. This is Skittles. Kitty's like, I'm embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. He sometimes jumps up here.
Aww. Adorable. How many cats do you have? Just the one, or
just the one? I'm lucky to take care of one.
Yeah, one's a good number. I've always just had one cat personally, but I have some friends that have like 3 or 6 or whatever. My neighbor has not. It's just everybody's different. Once you get more than 3 cats, I think it's a slippery slope before you become a crazy cat woman or cat man.
Yeah. It's
slippery at that point. Once you get more than 3, it's like Yeah. But I've always had one. I've been happy with having just one at a time. That's good for me. Right now I have 2 pet turtles though. But let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff I have coming up. I'm working, you probably saw on Facebook that I'm working with a couple things with Robert Restro.
I know. I'm in one of them. Dead End.
Oh, that one you're in? Yeah?
Yep.
Awesome.
Actually, I'm not in it. I'm a co-producer on it. I had Robert Restro on, I think it was February I had him on here.
Awesome.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to working on Dead End, and then I'm also going to be in another film with him called Brain Hunter. So I'm very excited about that one. Yeah. So he should be cool. Very cool guy. I've known him for a couple of years. I didn't realize you were involved in that, but that's really awesome. So that's like another film that we get to both be involved in. Yeah,
you're Pitchfork Molly.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm like a country character in that.
Has your scene shot yet?
We shot a little bit of me, I think, for like a teaser trailer a couple of years ago. but I still have to fly out to LA to shoot my other scenes. Yeah.
When do you think you're gonna get to do that?
Hopefully this summer, it looks like, if everything, God willing, works out, probably this
Yeah,
summer.
I'm hoping
I'm
so.
really excited. It's an amazing cast. Robert is a great guy, a great director and writer. I love the script. Everything about it is awesome. So I'm really excited to do it.
Yeah, I got involved in that one. I like the title Z Dead End. He's got a great cast in this thing, Felissa Rose being in it as well, and I
Mhm.
still got to get her on here. Sandy Johnson put me in touch with her. Just haven't made it work out yet, but nonetheless, I think it's great that there's people like Felissa Rose that are available for these independents,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And she's a great one too. I worked with her in the past on Death House. Death House. We both Death
Mm-hmm.
House. And I've seen her a couple times at conventions where we've both been guests and stuff. So yeah, it'll be great to work with her. And there's a lot of really amazing and talented people, in that film. It's like it's a great collaboration of so many talented people.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I had him on back in February, and he was very happy to have me as part of it. I think it's the last film I took part in. I get approached a lot to contribute to
Wow.
projects, and I got to turn them down because financially I'm not in a place where I can do that, and it costs money, and um, I'm just in this little small apartment. It's just me and my cat. My cat ain't paying the rent. I am. So I work. I think people get the impression that because I'm doing a podcast that I'm raking in money, but my podcast isn't monetized. It's I
Hmm.
do it because I enjoy it. I work as a cleaner.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm making above minimum wage, but still, it's when I run into problems like I did yesterday, it sets you back a little bit. So like James approached me for I think it was Alien Danger or something like that, and I said, James, you got to give me time. Got to give me time. Yeah.
You're on a budget. You're on a budget. You're not a millionaire. You're on a budget. You want to do these things, and these are great creative outlets for you. But you have to budget it, and you have to pick the ones that really resonate for you.
Kitty, are you interrupting the interview again? Kitty knocked my water bottle off of here.
Aw,
Oh, now he's gone. He's offended now.
kitty. What a naughty kitty. What a naughty kitty. And then I have a couple films that I'll be working on with Phoenix Studios. I think Phoenix Rising Studios out in Seattle, Washington, in June and October. And those are going to be non-horror films. One's drama, a courtroom drama, and the other one is going to be a fantasy film.
Okay.
So a little bit different, and I'm looking forward to going out there and working with this director named Sean on his films out in Seattle, Washington. So that'll be cool. I haven't really spent much time in Seattle, so I look forward to kind of like scoping out the area and seeing what that would be like. And then I have another film coming up that's on my IMDb called Vampire Santa with Sal Lizard. So I look forward to doing that in Kentucky down the road. We're looking forward to doing that. It's like a crazy horror movie and about Santa Claus. I guess if Santa Claus was a vampire, which I guess would explain why Santa Claus has been around so long and why his favorite color is red. I guess, right?
You got a film listed on here called Jasper, and you're working with some interesting people on that. Linnea Quigley, who I've had on here, Michael
Awesome.
Berryman, Kane Hodder,
Oh yeah, Jasper is another one that I'm really excited about.
Bill Moseley.
That was put on hold due to the pandemic. Otherwise, we would have shot it already. And just we're waiting until things kind of get to a good place with the pandemic, and then we're going to be shooting that one. And I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, I love Bill Moseley, Bill Aldrich Jr., Michael Berryman, who I've been in I think at least 4 movies with, Linnea Quigley, who I've worked with a few times as well. I also remember being on a Scream Queen panel at a horror convention with Linnea and also Camille Keaton. She's a great lady too.
I still haven't had Camille Keaton on here. I want to get her on here at some point. But
Yeah, she's a great lady. You know, we're both in Death House together, and I've hung out with her at a couple conventions. She's a great lady. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to shooting Jasper, and it's just a question of when. And obviously, with this whole pandemic thing, some films are hard to film because of not every movie is easy to film during a pandemic. It depends on your cast and how many actors are involved and your locations and things like that. So things just need to get a little bit better for us to film some of these things. Other films we're going ahead with pretty soon because maybe they have smaller casts and people are working a little bit less closely together and things like that,
Well, let's talk about a short that is now becoming a feature-length film, Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie.
That's a great one to talk about. Yeah, it started out as a short film that I directed a few years ago called Attack of the Killer Chickens. It's 6.5 minutes long. And it actually went to a bunch of film festivals, I think about 40, and it did really well. I was going to show you one of my awards, but now I can't find it. It did really well, and it won, I think, 6 awards. So I'm pretty excited and proud about that. And then what had happened is I was approached by a producer, and we decided to make it into a feature-length film, which we're in the process of doing right now. We just shot some scenes for that pretty recently, and now it's in post-production where we're editing it and that kind of stuff. And basically, it's a movie. It's the dawn of a new age, a chicken age. Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie.
It reminds me of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah, we're kind of paying homage to that type of film with our chicken movie because, I grew up loving these movies like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, Kingdom of the Spiders, Planet of the Apes, Night of the Living Dead. And this movie kind of pays homage to a lot of these types of crazy, movies that I love. Edward X. Young said my directing style was similar to if John Waters and Ed Wood had a baby, I would be the baby. That would be my style, and which is interesting. So we got a lot of really cool people involved in the film. Lloyd Kaufman pops up in it. David Naughton from American Werewolf in London pops up. We have John Dugan from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I've had John Dugan on here. Yep.
Great guy. All these great guys. And
John Dugan spoke highly of working with you.
Oh, and he was a great guy to work with too. I met him actually a couple years ago in the Birmingham, United Kingdom. We were all there for Birmingham Horror Con. It was John Dugan. It was Mark Patton. It was some people from Poltergeist, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and and all these other movies. And we were all there signing autographs for the English horror fans, having a great time. And I really connected with John Dugan and also Dwayne Whittaker from Pulp Fiction. We were all hanging out at the bar and chilling together. Really great guys. And then I end up asking John Dugan to be in my film. And he, generously agreed, and we figured out a role and an agreement and that he was comfortable doing and that we thought would really add value to the film. So it was great working with him. He's an amazing guy. I love his Texas Chainsaw Massacre stories. He has a really lively and cool personality. Fun guy.
So how much filming have you got left to do? Because it's listed here on IMDb as filming.
Oh, well, I guess that's not accurate. I think we're pretty much filmed with Attack of the Killer Chickens, but now we're in post-production where we're actually editing and sound, and we're getting some music and a whole bunch of other things. And that can be very time-consuming because you want to have the film edited well. So that's going to take some time to really complete it. We shot some scenes for it actually, during the pandemic, actually fairly recently. Some things that I acted in. And my involvement, just to be clear, with Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie, is that I'm the director, the writer, and I'm also one of the stars of the film.
Yeah, you got like at least 3 roles listed here.
Exactly. So it was a huge undertaking, actually. It was like one of the biggest undertakings I've ever had. I've only directed now 2 films: the short film Attack of the Killer Chickens, and now the feature Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie. So to go from directing one short to a feature was a pretty intense experience, and we're doing it through a production company called Cluck Cluck Productions.
How
Yeah,
appropriate.
exactly. Cluck Cluck Productions. Yeah, life imitates art, art imitates life. And I'm working with David Stein, and it's
From
been
Balsamo's films.
yeah. He's worked with James quite a few times
The
too. He loves
Lich.
James. Yep.
He's the Lich, isn't he?
Exactly, he's the Lich. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of people will recognize him from some of his previous work. He absolutely loves working with James and on James's projects and stuff. And then we ended up collaborating together on this particular film in Cluck Cluck Productions. Dave's a great guy. He works on a lot of different films and works with a lot of different directors. So, and it was a great collaboration. Dave is a great producer and also a great actor. He did a great job acting in Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie.
Yes, absolutely. Well,
Yep.
sounds like the kind of thing that Lloyd Kaufman. Is it a trauma film?
No, it's
Okay.
not a film. No. It's a Cluck Cluck production stuff.
Ah,
It's not a trauma film. No. People sometimes get that impression, but it's not. Sometimes people think James Balsamo's films are trauma films too. But no, trauma films are kind of like their own entity and their own brand and their own thing. And we're making our own film under our own production company and things like that. And it's not based on Poultrygeist, because I'll have to actually, everybody always compares it because it is a chicken horror film, and that's also a chicken horror film. But I've never seen Poultrygeist, so I can't say that it actually impacted me when I was writing the film.
I just got Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies on Blu-ray. That's a trauma film.
Oh, Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. I wonder who's going to win that one. That's a tough call.
Who's gonna win that? I predict the star of the movie will win that one.
yeah. Unless it's one of those movies that like surprises you and the star dies at the end, which happens on some occasions.
It's got several pro wrestlers in this one, and including one that I very much miss, but I'm in touch with his daughter, Roddy Piper.
Oh yeah, that was heartbreaking for so many people when he passed on. It was so sudden and everything. Yeah, shame.
His daughter's been on my show 3 times, and she was in a film that kind of reminds me of a trauma film called Psycho Sleepover. It was pretty friggin' funny.
What a great title too. It's all about having a good title for your film, and that's a good title. Cool.
So do you have any of your killer chickens in your flat there with you?
I do have them like hidden away. Yeah, I have a couple.
Oh, they're hidden away, ready to attack?
Yeah, they're hidden away, crouching somewhere, ready to like jump out. Yeah. Well, they're very scary creatures, and they dominate the movie Attack of the Killer Chickens. The short film Attack of the Killer Chickens actually played at Trauma Dance a couple years ago, and that's when Lloyd had told us that he really wanted a cameo in the feature film. So we shot for one day at Trauma headquarters with Lloyd, and also at Trauma headquarters and stuff like that, to kind of pay homage to Trauma, which has been a big influence for a lot of people involved with Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie. So it was great to have Lloyd a part of that. And then I ended up being in Shakespeare's Shitstorm like soon after that. So that was pretty cool. We had a fun time at Trauma. But it's not a trauma film. It's again, Cluck Cluck Productions is the production company that Dave and I have kind of formed. And our first film under Cluck Cluck Productions is Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie. It's a fun production company name. I came up with that name. I made up that name actually for the short film as a joke. And then, art imitates life, life imitates art. And that joke, Cluck Cluck Productions, became a reality.
Well, I love the poster for Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie.
Oh yeah, I love that too. Like with the space chickens, and there's like me and my like raw panties, like running. It's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Is there
yeah, I
gonna
love
be a
that.
Blu-ray of it?
Most likely, I would think we're probably going to do that. Yeah, and most likely. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a great film. It was great working with so many amazing people on it. It was it was a wonderful collaboration. We have a really diverse and amazing cast of people that came together. So many of them are like my friends and colleagues from all the films that I've worked on. Because I've been in like over 108 horror films in the last few years, and I've developed these friendships with so many people that I've worked with, and I knew exactly who I wanted to bring aboard into this film. And it was great to work with so many people, like Edward X. Young, of course, Dave Stein, his wife Alicia. It was amazing to have David Norton and John Dugan be a part, and Lloyd Kaufman be a part. It was amazing to have my good friend Bob Sachi, who's been in a whole bunch of James Balsamo films as well. We had a lot of really cool people that I've worked with so many times. Dennis Carter is another person I've worked with many times. KJ Hopkins, the creator of the puppets and one of the actors in the film, Rocco George, is an amazing guy. It was a great collaboration with Rocco, him as the puppet creator and also as an actor who wears many hats in the film. Our chickens were kind of we were inspired a little bit by Jim Henson in the Muppet Show when we were making the film. Well, it'll be the cutest horror film ever made. It'll be so cute.
What was it like working with David Naughton? Because I've interviewed Tracy N. Smith, who worked with him in Hot Dog the movie. She said that David Naughton was very much a party animal.
Oh, David Naughton as a party animal. See, my experience with David and is that he's a very reserved gentleman. He definitely comes from a wonderful, classically trained actor.
Well, Hot Dog the movie came out in 1984, so quite when you're younger, you tend to be a little more outlandish. When you get older, he probably was more reserved. Probably let the killer chickens do all the partying.
Yeah, and then David Naughton is a classically trained actor who did a lot of Shakespeare in New York City back in the day. He also has a disco song called "Making It" that was really popular. He was on My Sister Sam for years. As well as American Werewolf from London. He did the Dr. Pepper commercials. He has a very multifaceted background. He was on an episode of American Horror Story more recently. I think he was on another show called Granite Flats on Netflix where he played a doctor. He has a very diverse resume of work. And I've met Dave over the years. We became friends because we've been guests together at a number of horror conventions over the years. And also pop culture and what have you conventions. So we kept on running into each other, and then we kind of developed a friendship. Very, very nice guy. And I would have to say American Werewolf from London is one of my favorite werewolf movies of all time.
I would love to get him on here because I've never got to highlight American Werewolf in London on this show yet. I've had a couple people from The Howling on here.
Oh, and I think they just had its 40th anniversary the other day, didn't it? The Howling. That's another great werewolf movie.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, I've had Belinda Blasky, with the exception of last year. I've had her on my show every year that I've been doing the podcast.
So. Oh, that's wonderful. That is a classic horror film as well. And then, the first one is so good, and then they get kind of like, and then the second one with Sybil Danning topless is kind of fun in its own respect. And then the marsupial werewolf one is just like so outlandish that I really love it. And then I like the one Howling the Freaks, where it's at the freak show with the vampire and the werewolf. That's kind of fun too. I honestly enjoy the whole franchise of the Howling.
Okay.
I do. Even when they get kind of like a little bit bad or silly, I still kind of like love them. So
Well,
bad.
I know you were in a number of James Balsamo movies, but you guys have not been able to collaborate because he's in LA, you're in New York. So it's like, so I used to always look for you in his movies, and and now it's like, unless he's got extra footage of you, like Catch of the Day 2, for example, it's actually kind of sad that I don't see you listed for his movies anymore.
Oh yeah, well that's an unfortunate geographic thing, and I guess maybe it's
Hmm.
on his budget to fly me out or something like that. Last time I was out there in LA, I think we shot a very quick scene, um, like last summer or whatever it was before the pandemic. So maybe that'll end up in some movie. It was like a quick cameo kind of
Yeah.
thing. So maybe that'll end up somewhere. But yeah, it's just a geographic thing because he used to be in Long Island and I was in New York, and I would just kind of pop out there and we would shoot together a lot. And we ended up collaborating. And then, my first big horror movie that I was in, I actually had a scene with James, which was Jacko Slasher, which is directed by Jennifer Valdez. So
Hmm.
that's when James and I kind of first cemented our horror bond there. It was a Jacko Slasher. And then we were also in a couple other movies together, I think, as well as actors, like Blood Slaughter Massacre. We were in together as actors. I play a reporter. He's the cameraman. It's not a James Balsamo film. It's a Manny Serrano film. But, so we were in a couple of films together as actors, and then we've also obviously been in his films. But now James is in LA, and unless I'm in LA working on something, it's difficult to work with him. So yeah, he has
Well,
to.
I've been able to do it, and I didn't go to LA.
Oh yeah, no, I guess that's something to think about if he wants to shoot something maybe remotely with me. I guess you could always suggest that to him. I would be open to it, especially during a pandemic. That would sure make life easier.
There you go. There you go. He
I've
did.
shot a couple
Yeah.
films remotely during the pandemic. One's called The Central Authority. The whole
Uh-huh.
film was shot remotely. Another one was a documentary by a gentleman named Carlos about excuse me, about the indie film market and indie filmmaking.
Hmm.
And then what else? And then I worked on another film that was shot remotely called Witches of the Sands, which is a United Kingdom based film.
Okay.
Yeah, and that one has a whole bunch of really great people. I think Lynn Lowry and Brink Stevens and a whole bunch of people are in that. It's called Witches of the Sands.
I met Lynn Laurie in at Horrorama 2018. I haven't had her on the show yet. I am going to be booking her, but I've got 4 films autographed by her here at the apartment. Actually, let me see if I can do this without toppling stuff here, because it could be a balancing act. I got Shivers.
Oh, that's a classic Lynn Lowry film. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And another one of my favorite actresses is in that, Barbara Steele.
Barbara Steele. Yeah, she's another one I haven't had on here yet. I'd like to get. So yeah, Lynn Laurie was doing something on here. Just like I got put this all back down here before she all topples. But
Yeah, you
yeah,
have been on. Lynn is great. I've worked on a couple films with Lynn Lowry, and I've been a guest with her at a couple conventions, and she's a great lady. Yeah, absolutely.
and well, when I met her, I had VIP to Horrorama, and she's a hugger. I like that. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I got her film Sugar Cookies signed. She had it right there on her table. I was like, I'd never heard of it, but I was like, Len Laurie and Mary Warrenov, how bad can it be? So I bought a copy from her and got her to sign it. But she was doing
wonderful.
some stuff on her Facebook where she was selling uh, Blu-rays, and I thought, well, in preparation to having her on, it doesn't have hurt to have some stuff signed. Here's The Crazy. She signed that.
Oh, that's another classic film that she was in. Yeah, too. She's a beautiful woman, inside and
Oh,
out. She's a really
she's
great woman.
beautiful. And
Yeah.
then here's I Drink Your Blood.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of
Yeah,
classic cool films. I love her autograph on there. What a nice signature.
yeah.
Nice.
I love Lynn, so I'm sometime this spring I've got to have her on. So yeah, I haven't gotten around to it yet because I reach out to people every day, you know, and a lot of it is based on people I'm having back or people uh, other people I'm put in touch with, you know. Like I said, I told you I was go get back to you, and so this is my third interview with you, and all of them in April.
Oh, interesting. April's a very productive month for you. Yeah, yeah. It starts with April Fool's Day, and then you kind of hit your stride.
Yeah.
There
Well,
you go.
I got on my computer, I got kind of my own calendar thing where I have listed because I always on Facebook put interviews up for their anniversaries. And I
Mm,
know this because I could just look at my online calendar and I can see who I interviewed, what year, and what day. So,
mhm.
so when I was coming on April, I was looking at all the people I've interviewed and going through who do I want to have back, and I knew that you would have some new stories to tell. So,
Oh yeah, it's been crazy with the pandemic, but I had some cool stuff. Witches of the Sands, like I said, is one of the ones I'm the most excited about. Lynn Larry's in that, and a bunch of other people. And that was a really cool one to shoot remotely in my apartment during the pandemic. And and it's cool that we've been able to do stuff like that because then I get to be in this UK film during a lockdown with all these amazing actors, amazing people, and I was really excited about the scenes that I had and the people that I got to work with. So that was kind of like a cool experience. A lot of these films, some doing cameos and small parts, we can really do the whole shooting remotely. We should probably embrace that for sure. And I'm looking forward to hopefully things getting better, especially now that I'm vaccinated, and going out there more and flying around and shooting more films.
I
I,
think
I like to be busy.
I think Lynn Lowry is vaccinated too, if I remember correctly. But
Yeah.
she's in this. Deborah Lamb's in this.
Mhm.
Beverly Randolph's in this. Brink Stevens, Lynn, and of course Lloyd Kaufman, Linnea Quigley, who of course I met at Horrorama 2018. I had Linnea on my birthday the year after.
Well, that's a great birthday present. Yeah, Linnea is great. I always remember being a kid and watching Night of the Demons.
Hmm.
We used to watch that a lot. That's like a great, like, kind of like funny movie that we love, like with all the one-liners and things like that. Eat a bowl of fuck. I'm here to party. Like all these like random quotes in there. I love that movie. She's like a really like an amazing scream queen. And now Lene and I were in a couple movies together, including one called Hunters.
Uh-huh.
Hunters that we did, directed by Adam Albrandt. Lene said that was one of her most disturbing films she's ever been in. It's definitely one of the most disturbing films that I've been in. I play a character named Edna, and I really spend a lot of time, raping and torturing people in that movie, which is cool. Nice. you
So
know,
so so when are you gonna get to do scene where you rape and torture James Balsamo?
that's up to James, I guess. He has to write that, and then we'll have to come up with that. Yeah, I could see. James likes to push things a little far with his work. He does a pretty interesting thing. And the first film that I worked with James, where he was the director, was I Spill Your Guts,
Mm-hmm.
which I always look at with a sense of nostalgia. Lloyd Kaufman was in that, Lynn Larry, Deborah Rashawn, my good friend Bob Sachi, a whole bunch of really cool people. So that was like a really fun experience working on that movie. I had a nice time working on I Spill Your Guts. That's kind of like, classic James Balsamo.
He nominated you and Debbie Rashawn, and I just thought about this when you brought her name up for the Doubtfire Face challenge.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what were we supposed to do? We were supposed to put a cream pie in our faces?
For suicide and depression awareness and nominate 3 people. He also nominated Carmine Bianco, who just passed away.
Oh yeah, poor Carmine.
Mm-hmm.
Carmine and I worked together on a couple films, and we were guests together at Connecticut Horror Fest, and we were friends. And he was a wonderful man. If you haven't seen Psychos in Love, I recommend that film. It was a film that he stars in, and I believe he directed and wrote. It's a great horror film from the 80s. We all miss Carmine so much. He was a wonderful human being, such a sweet, loving, wonderful person. I was in shock that he passed away, when he
Mm-hmm.
did. He had been sick for a while, but I guess we all really kind of held on to this hope that, he was going to be all right in the end, and that he was going to conquer his illness. But unfortunately, he succumbed to it, and we're all going to miss him tremendously.
So, yeah, he nominated you for the challenge, and Debbie Rochon said she would do it. I know she responded to it. Of course, I wouldn't recommend anybody do it during the pandemic. I always tell people wait till after. I don't want people to risk themselves, but yeah, I kind of figured James was going to nominate you. I think at the time that was at the I think that might have been around the tail end of the time when you had moved to New York and even still in LA, but
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that probably was. Yeah. What
Well,
did it
huh?
entail? Did we have to put like a cream pie in our faces or something like that?
Well, the Doubtfire Face Challenge is for suicide and depression awareness,
Mhm.
and you nominate 3 people.
Mhm.
So, if you know people in the industry that you think would do it, nominate them. And yeah, the whole idea, you put a pie in your face, or have somebody put the pie in your face. And yeah,
Oh
I
wow.
yeah, Nancy McLaughlin did it in front of props from Jason Lives.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. What a waste of a pie, though. I love cream
Sandy
pie. I
Sandy
guess
John
they'll eat it afterwards, but
Sandy Johnson did it, and she was Judith Myers in Halloween. She did it, and her husband was dressed up like Michael Myers, and he put
oh,
the
wow.
pie in her face.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
Good time. Good
some
time.
people are pretty creative with it. So I don't know if you eventually do it. I'd be interested to see how creative you were with it.
Oh yeah. Well, one thing that we did during the pandemic that I forgot about, that was another film that we did, was where we did this thing, a video with an actress from Sweden, where a whole bunch of us actresses all kind of like doing like these different like kind of death scenes and aggressive scenes, all as kind of like a montage of
Mm-hmm.
all of us kind of put together into like a short film. That was another thing that we did remotely. We had people pretty much all over the world putting themselves together into this film. And that was a pretty cool thing that we worked on during the pandemic too. It's been an interesting time for trying to collaborate with people remotely, for sure, and trying to connect with people. When it's been hard to connect with people. People have been trying extra hard to do it and find ways to do it, and through Zoom and through technology and through everything else that we have available right now. I just pray to God that things get better, and that going forward there's going to be less suffering associated with the pandemic, and that hopefully things can start going back to some kind of sense of normalcy, and less people would be suffering and dying of this terrible, virus. Hopefully things will get better soon for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. Well, I'll leave the Doubtfire challenge in your hands if you decide to do it. But
Okay. Okay.
yeah, but you do have some other films. You got a lot of stuff that's either filming, post-production, or pre-production. You kept yourself busy. Even during the pandemic, you've kept yourself busy.
I try. To me, it feels slow because it's slow compared to what life is normally like. But I still try to keep myself busy, and I've committed to a whole bunch of film projects, and I'm looking forward to filming them. And that's why I was really anxious to get vaccinated, because I want to get up and rolling and do film. So if anybody that's a filmmaker is watching this, I'm vaccinated and I'm ready to roll. Let's make a movie. Let's get busy. Let's do things. Let's collaborate. Let's get creative, and let's get out there and start doing again. Because that's what I'm used to doing. I've been in like over 108 films. I really started acting seriously in 2012, and I want to do another 108 films, ASAP. Let's get busy, So
I'm looking over Shakespeare's Shitstorm. I love that title. I recognize Julianne Prescott. She's popping up in a lot of indie films.
yeah, I haven't met her, but I think I'm in a few films with her, and she's been popping up in a bunch of stuff. I don't know her personally because we've just never been on set together. It hasn't worked out that way. A lot of other actresses I've met, like Debbie Rochon, I've worked together, and I've met her quite a few times. I've met Lynn Lowry quite a few times. I've met Camille Keaton, Linnea Quigley. Just sometimes you work on a film with somebody and you're just never on set the same day.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
These films can shoot sometimes like 20 days, and you were there on day 5 and 7, and they were there on day 10 and 11, and you just never cross paths.
So are you going to? I'm going to take a guess and say you will, but Attack of the Killer Chickens was a directing project. Are you going to direct another project? And if so, how do you choose what you want to lend your directing talent to?
I'm sure that at some point I am definitely going to direct another project, and I'm looking forward to working with Dave Stein again on another project for sure, with Cluck Cluck Productions, because that's been an amazing collaboration and tons of fun. So just a matter of time, honestly, that we'll be working on another project and I'll be directing another film. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would be open to maybe directing something that someone else has written. And I'd also be open to, writing and directing again as well. And I love acting in something that I'm directing as well. The wonderful thing about directing is that I think directing makes you a better actor, and acting makes you a better director. To be on both sides of the camera like that, I think helps make you a more well-rounded creative person in the film industry.
Absolutely. Wow. So yeah, you got plenty of projects in here. You got some soulless movies here.
Oh yeah. That was something we worked on a while ago, and I look forward to those coming out at some point. Some of these films that we work on, these indie films, can be really like a labor of love, and they take a while to actually be released. We do them, and then you wait for them to actually be released, and that sometimes takes a little bit of time. And the soulless films have been kind of like that.
Talk about working on Brain Hunter, since we had spoken about Robert Restro.
Yeah, so Brain Hunters I'll be working on. See Dead End I'll be working on also with him, and those are upcoming projects. So I'm excited about those. And Jasper's another upcoming project I'm excited about. Vampire Santa is another exciting upcoming project I'm talking about that I'll be doing. And then I'll also be working on 2 films out in Seattle, drama and fantasy, with Phoenix Rising Productions. And then probably some other things will be coming up as well. And then we're all looking forward to the release of Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie, my directorial debut for a feature with Cluck Cluck Productions, and a lot of other stuff. And then hopefully, this weekend I'm going to be in Smithville, New Jersey, where I'll be a guest at a show called the Smithville Art Walk. So I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully I'm looking forward to conventions kind of coming back and doing more guest appearances.
Yes. I want to get back to conventions. I didn't take any time off last year because it's like, what's the use of taking time off work to hang out your apartment? I could do that when I'm not working.
Exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
miss the conventions. I miss seeing the fans, and I miss being more social. And it's wonderful that we can do all this stuff via Zoom, but there's
Mhm.
nothing quite like connecting with people in person. And I miss that element, you know?
What was your favorite convention?
Oh, that's a really good question. I really enjoyed Scaricon. I
Okay.
really enjoyed Schiller. I really enjoyed Monster Mania. But I'm gonna have to say my favorite was probably the Birmingham United Kingdom convention because it was wonderful to fly out to England and to meet the European fans. I met some
Mhm.
wonderful people from Sweden, my friends Scott and Pia, and a whole bunch of other really cool people from England. And met John Dugan, Dwayne Whittaker, and Mark Patton, and all these other wonderful people. And that was just like a great experience. We stayed at this wonderful French boutique hotel, and we were right near this mall called the Mailbox, and we were going to Harvey Nichols for lunch. It was like a wonderful convention. The people that put it together did a fantastic job. So I'm gonna have to say that one because I love going to Europe and I love traveling and I love horror conventions. So to bring that all together into one thing was great. And we stayed at this beautiful hotel. They even had a heated towel rack, so your towel would be warm when you came out of the shower or bathtub.
Oh, nice.
And then every morning we began with our cappuccinos and a wonderful hot breakfast
Oh,
at a
wow.
French boutique hotel. And I love French food and I love French pastries. So that was really beautiful to stay at that hotel. They did a wonderful job and they did a wonderful job with the convention. It was great.
So all these scream queens that you worked with, and you've worked with a lot of them, from Linnea to Brink Stevens to Debbie Rochon to Len Laurie. Do you have any outrageous on-set stories of working with them? Because I heard some of those people are like a hoot to work with.
Did I have any extreme crazy stories with any of them? I can't really think of any crazy stories. I think everybody was just like a pleasure to work with and everybody was really cool. But I can't think of anything like, wacky or crazy that happened. It's not like we had, gay sex or we
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. Like stuff that they do in the film that gets kept in that wasn't in the script, but it's something that they kind of done that just kind of added something, and do you ever see anything like that? Especially, working on Killer Chickens.
well, I don't know yet what the film is going to be edited down to, so I don't know what's going to be taken out. But we had a lot of fun working on Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie. The short, also the feature. It's a really wild and zany movie, and it was a wonderful collaboration of people, and everybody did have a really great time on that. And I'm looking forward to that being completed and being out there because it was an amazing experience.
When can we be looking for that?
Probably, I think it's looking like maybe next year at this point because things kind of got slowed down because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
So
pandemic's been a pain in everybody's ass.
it sure has been because before this I had like so many things all lined up and that my life looks really productive on IMDb, but it would have been even more productive if it wasn't for the pandemic, and I'm sure everybody else's life too. And then it's like my everybody's life has been kind of on pause last year in some ways. Like things have been happening a little like dribbles and drabbles, and I've been trying to live my life pretty fully. A thing I want to talk about that I've been focusing on a lot during the pandemic is actually I've been doing a lot of modeling. I was in
Okay.
Florida twice, doing some modeling in Miami and Orlando for a couple different magazines that were published and stuff. And then I just had two amazing modeling shoots locally this past week as well. Because modeling is a great thing to do because it's easy to social distance and do during a pandemic. So I've been doing an incredible amount of modeling gigs for different kinds of magazines and publications. Some of it like glamour modeling, some of it being kind of like Maxim kind of modeling, and then some of it being kind of like cosplay kind of modeling as well. So I've been
Okay.
keeping really busy with that. And also I do some fine art modeling for sculpture and paintings and things like that. I keep myself busy. Plus, I personal train. Plus, I'm a professional tarot card reader. Plus, I'm a writer. But I really love acting, and I want to get involved with that more. I've been doing some of it during the pandemic, but not at the same intensity as before the pandemic. So hopefully things are going to get better soon, and we're going to start doing more stuff along those lines.
With the Killer Chickens movie, you got to put a commentary track on and stuff like that. You got to load that thing with extras.
We're going to definitely have some, probably deleted scenes and some comedic extras and things like that in there, because we have so much footage that was really amazing that it's going to really be hard to pick what to use for the film, because the film, we only wanted to be a certain number of minutes. But we probably have so much footage that was just like so amazing, working with so many amazing people who were incredibly funny and talented, that we probably should, have some deleted scenes put in there too.
Why not do an uncut version?
We'll see, I guess. It all depends on what
I look at it this way. If people can sit through 3 hours of Titanic, and believe me, that was not my favorite film going experience.
You didn't love Titanic, because Titanic
No.
was like a really interesting film. I'm just going to bring you over here real quick.
Titanic I saw the same day as Tomorrow Never Dies, the James Bond film. And
Really?
here's the thing. When I saw Titanic, I had struggled just trying to stay awake, whereas Tomorrow Never Dies, I sprung awake.
I guess you're not a romantic. That was a depressing movie, Titanic. Oh my God.
I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm not romantic. I like While You Were Sleeping. I like Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, did you?
I love There's Something About Mary. I'd classify that as romantic. But
Something About Mary. I was just telling somebody about that movie. That's like a fun movie. That was my favorite what's her name? Carmen Diaz movie. Something About Mary with Ben Stiller. That's a really funny movie.
Yeah. Well, I had Lynn Shay on from that movie talking about it,
Who was Lynn Shay in the movie? Remind me.
She was the woman with the heavy tan that owned the dog.
Oh yeah, she was fun. That was like a fun character role. She was hilarious in that. Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I remember her. As soon as you mentioned the tan, I remember her. Yes. That was a great role. That was like a real, it's a small part, but it's like a very memorable part in the movie.
Yep.
Very cool.
With Titanic, I figure if people can sit through 3 hours of that, then they can sit through 3 hours of Killer Chickens.
They should be able to, because I think we have that intensity, because Killer Chickens is horror, it's sci-fi, it's a romance, it's everything like at once. It's a comedy, it's like every genre.
Yeah.
You'll laugh, you'll cry, it'll be a part of you when you're done watching it, always remember it and carry it in your heart. It's that kind of movie. Yeah.
So what else do you have coming up that you want to plug on here before we close off?
Just like the movies that I mentioned, I'm looking forward to Vampire Santa, Jasper. I'm looking forward to Attack of the Brain People, Z Dead End. Looking forward to working on 2 movies in Seattle with Phoenix Rising Productions. I'm really looking forward to working with an amazing amount of always amazing creative people. I have more movies coming up too. Some of them I'm not supposed to, discuss at this point. Looking forward to getting back to conventions and guest appearances, and keeping busy. And please look for Attack of the Killer Chickens, the movie. Look for Witches of the Sands, which probably will be out in a little bit too, and a whole bunch of. Look for Central Authority, another film that I'm in that should be out soon. And thank you for having me on, and thank everybody for watching.
Oh, I love having you on. Love staying in touch with you and seeing what you're doing. I know you express yourself with your espresso.
It's important. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad I had a couple shots of that before we started, because that really woke me up and made me feel good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not much of a morning person, but I got to work this afternoon, and I told my supervisor, I said I'm gonna be a little late because of course, doesn't matter when I do my hours there anyway, but still, I yeah, I got a scream queen I have to talk to, so
There
you,
you go. And then I'm sure he understood. He was like, I get it. I get it. So
yeah,
I wish you all the luck in the world with your car, and also with producing all these different movies. I hope that you get like a windfall of money that allows you to be more creative and get involved with some more movies.
yeah, yeah, my car. I hope they fix it the second time. I wasn't happy about that yesterday, I'll tell you that. Yeah, yesterday
No,
was
no,
not a fun
hopefully
day
that
for me.
five.
Yeah, but today's starting off well. I got you on here.
And then if anybody wants to check me out online, just Google Genoveva Rossi. And then you can look me up on my IMDb. You can
Mm-hmm.
look for me on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, Instagram. I have a website. I have everything. Reach out, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, friend me or follow me on Facebook, and let's keep in touch.
Where can people go to get autographed pictures and stuff of you?
If you private message me online, you can get a picture. I just sent out a couple actually the other day. I have some great images of me in this beautiful lingerie kind of animal print outfit with a little vampire next to me that I sent out to some people. I have a great wealth of pictures, dozens of them. So if anybody messages me online, I accept through PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
It's $20 a picture, 2 pictures for $30 or $15 each for two. And I send them to anywhere, in the world that people would like them. And I do that pretty regularly. I send them out to people. And then I
Ah,
also go to events and conventions where I also send out autographed pictures. Yep.
okay.
But thank you for asking. And I enjoy sending out the pictures and signing them out to everybody. And it's cute to see what pictures people, pick out. I try to have I have a big binder filled with all these different pictures that I have, dozens of them. So I like to give people options on pictures. Some people collect them. I have some fans that have 4 or 6 different pictures that I've signed, and
Sometimes it's hard to pick, you
it
know.
can be. And I look different in the pictures depending on the photo shoot or the role in the movie. So, it's almost like trading cards, collect them all.
Yeah. I'm gonna put you on the spot here and ask, do you have a favorite scream queen that you've worked with?
Oh, a favorite scream queen that I have worked with. I was always a big fan when I was a little kid of Brink Stevens, I think, because she's a marine biologist, I think, in
Mm-hmm.
addition to being a scream queen. And I just thought that was really cool to have such a multifaceted brain like that, that you act in horror movies, but you're also like a marine biologist, like your left brain and your right brain. And I thought that so she's always been a very interesting one for me. And it's great that I've been in a couple films with her, which is The Sands and also Death House, and maybe even more movies than that I've been in with her. So she's really cool. I always, was a fan of Linnea Quigley and familiar with her work. There's one film that coming up that I'm going to be in with Barbara Steele.
Mm-hmm.
So Barbara Steele always holds a very special place for me in my heart, because I love those old movies like The Pit and the Pendulum with Vincent Price and The Raven. Not The Raven. What else? The Pit and the Pendulum. Black Sunday is another really great movie that she was in. And I just find her to be like a really cool actress. She
Yep.
Beast, and things like that. And she's like really iconic because she's kind of from this old world era of horror movies that not too many of those of her contemporaries are around anymore. Vincent Price is gone. I loved him. Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing. She works with some really classic people, in
Yeah.
these Italian horror films and such. Mary Bava, and all these like really exciting people. She was in Shivers, of course, too. And she was in some more mainstream kinds of films as well. She was in the Dark Shadows revival series. I'm a big fan of Dark Shadows as well. I've seen like so many episodes of Dark Shadows, all the Dark Shadows movies and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Barbara Steele is really cool, and I liked her a lot in the Butterfly Room that she was in with Camille Keaton a few years ago as well. She was the lead in that, and that was a really great film for Barbara Steele. So Barbara Steele, I think, holds a very special place for me in my heart. And I always loved her look. She's like this very gothic looking, black-haired actress with these amazing, like snarling eyes. She's got a very expressive face
Mm-hmm.
and a very, cool look to her.
Yeah.
So, right? She's like a very cool, like unique kind of interesting look in the genre. And Black Sunday, if any of the horror fans here haven't seen it, is a really cool old horror movie that I would recommend for people to see. That's really like a classic Barbara Steele kind of film. So.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Before I let you go, I want to plug for my show.
Do it.
Yeah. Do you just state your names? Say you're watching Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Okay, I'm Genoveva Rossi, and I'm with Greg Gilbert at Python's Paradise.
Absolutely. I'm going to be keeping an eye out because I'm hoping to have you on again. Maybe next year. We'll see. Hopefully stuff clears up. COVID will take a much needed hike. And we could see what else you're up to, see if some of these projects that you're listed in come into completion.
Exactly right. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, everything's been kind of paused, and I'm looking forward to everything hopefully picking up and getting to be more productive again. Okay?
Absolutely. Thanks. Well, I was happy to have you on here today. God bless you, and you drink up your espresso so you can stay alert.
Exactly right. Thank you so much for having me, and best wishes, and God bless with everything in your life as well.
You take it easy. God bless you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.